Hello, folks. I am Alan for today's news. I will be reading and speaking about world news, interesting news to keep you entertained, and news to keep you informed. First thing I got from you here is from the Associated Press. San Francisco police make arrest and death of Cash App founder.
San Francisco AP. A San Francisco supervisor says an arrest was made early Thursday in the downtown stabbing death of Cash App founder Bob Lee. San Francisco Board President Aaron Peskin said the suspect was apprehended in Emeryville, a San Francisco suburb. He was not told the suspect's name. San Francisco police did not immediately respond to a request for comment. Police found Lee with stab wounds in the Rincon Hill neighborhood of San Francisco at 2:30 a.m. April 4. He died at a hospital. I hope today's arrest can begin a process of healing and closure for all those touched by this tragedy, Matt Dorsey, another San Francisco supervisor, tweeted. Prominent tech leaders took to social media to mourn Lee's death and blame San Francisco for what they call the city's lax attitude toward crime. Police in Northern Ireland informed the U.S. Secret Service on Wednesday of local media reports saying a document related to President Joe Biden's trip to Belfast was found on a city street. The Police Service of Northern Ireland, PSNI, informed the Secret Service of media reports regarding a potentially sensitive document, which may contain law enforcement material, Anthony Guglielmi, a Secret Service spokesperson, said in a statement. Local reports said the document was from the Police Service of Northern Ireland and detailed how officers would keep Belfast safe during Biden's Tuesday night stay at the city's Grand Central Hotel. The Belfast Telegraph reported that the man who discovered the document called into a BBC radio show and said that it provided details of road closures, commanders assigned to various posts and phone numbers. The same news outlet had reported, before Biden's arrival, that police had foiled a bomb plot meant to overshadow the president's trip. While we do not discuss the specifics of any protective operation, the president's movements were not affected by these reports, Guglielmi said. He added that the senior Secret Service official overseeing Biden's visit, Jocelyn Keaveney, expressed her highest confidence in our Irish and European partners and the ongoing security of the visit. In a separate statement, Keaveney said that the Secret Service relies on its partnerships to provide the highest level of dignitary protection in the world.
And the link will be in my description box if you want to read the rest of it. It's not much more to read. We'll go on to the next one here. It's from the Time. Why China won't invade Taiwan anytime soon.
After Taiwan's President Tsai Ing-wen visited the United States last week and held a brief meeting in California with House Speaker Kevin McCarthy, China predictably responded with a show of force in the Taiwan Strait. Over 3 days of military drills, its fighter jets, naval vessels, and even an aircraft carrier carried out what Beijing called simulated precision attacks that serve as dress rehearsal for a military encirclement of the island state that might one day lead to an invasion. Once the exercises were complete, China's military declared itself prepared at any time to smash Taiwanese independence, separatism, and external meddling in any form. It's no surprise then that Western media have covered this story as a potential emergency, particularly since it comes at a time when U.S.-China relations are bad and getting worse. China's President Xi Jinping has gone further than his predecessors in declaring that Taiwan will be returned to the People's Republic of China by any means necessary, and President Joe Biden has said multiple times that the United States would come to Taiwan's aid if China attacked, though representatives of his own administration have walked back some of his past comments. It would be foolish to ignore China's provocations, for several reasons. With this much hostile hardware moving through narrow lanes of air and water, accidents can happen, and any incident that increases the risk of direct armed conflict between the two most powerful countries on Earth must be taken seriously. Second, China's maneuvers amount to a rehearsal. Though China will not show Taiwan, the US, or anyone else exactly how it would launch a full blockade or invasion of Taiwan, China's armed forces find it very valuable to practice. After all, Chinese troops haven't faced a shooting war since a brief conflict with Vietnam in 1979. Finally, Taiwan will hold national elections next year. Though China's latest intimidation may not lead to military conflict anytime soon, it may have an effect on how Taiwan's voters imagine the future.
And there's more to read on that if you want to read the rest of it. I'm just giving the gist of everything here. Now we go to the next one. This is from Newsweek. Russians flee Crimea, abandon property ahead of Kyiv's counteroffensive.
Thousands of Russians are fleeing Crimea and abandoning their properties amid concern an expected spring counteroffensive by Ukraine may target the Black Sea Peninsula, a Ukrainian official has said. Tamila Tasheva, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky's top representative for Crimea, said on national television that Russians are becoming anxious about the prospects of a Ukrainian effort to recapture the region that was illegally annexed by Russian President Vladimir Putin in 2014. A yellow terrorist threat level has been in place in parts of Crimea since April 11, 2022, weeks after Putin's full-scale invasion of Ukraine began. Russian forces have been fortifying the peninsula amid fears of Ukrainian advance. In February, a Ukrainian official said that his country was preparing assault brigades to take back its occupied territories, including Crimea. Many fear that such a move would be a red line for Russia, which may prompt Putin to use his country's nuclear capabilities to defend the territory. People are abandoning their property to leave the territory of the peninsula, said Tasheva, who earlier noted that some 500,000 to 800,000 Russians are currently living illegally in Crimea, and could be forcibly deported in accordance with the norms of Ukrainian legislation and international law should Ukraine recapture the peninsula. Tasheva said there is no demand to buy property in Crimea, only for sale. Russians are leaving in their thousands, she added. There are no statistics on the departure of people, because we do not have access to it. We understand that these are thousands of people who are leaving the territory of Crimea. And this can be seen even in the queues for the Kerch Bridge, for example, she said, referring to the strategically vital Kerch Strait Bridge that connects Russia with Russian-occupied Crimea.
And there's more to read if you want to read the rest of it. The link will be in my description box, like always. Let's go on to the next one here. This is from the Telegraph. Joe Biden has gravely insulted Britain. He insults a lot of people. See what it says.
President Biden's insulting decision to prioritize Ireland over the UK on his visit to mark the anniversary of the Good Friday Agreement should have come as no surprise. It is just as unsurprising as his decision to skip the coronation of King Charles III. Biden, like Barack Obama before him, has shown nothing but contempt for Great Britain and the special relationship. Biden began his presidency in 2021 by removing a bust of Winston Churchill from the Oval Office. Sculpted by Jacob Epstein, it had originally been loaned to the American people by then Prime Minister Tony Blair, in the wake of the barbaric 9/11 terror attacks on the United States. It had pride of place in George W. Bush's White House, but was ousted by Obama when he took office in 2009. Donald Trump brought it back at the start of his presidency in 2017, but Biden saw fit to remove it as soon as he entered the White House. Biden's insult towards Churchill and his memory set the tone for his presidency. His approach towards Britain, traditionally America's closest friend and ally, has been sneering, arrogant, and disrespectful. With deep roots in Ireland, Biden's track record as a U.S. Senator and Washington politician for half a century has been one of unyielding support for the Irish Republican cause. As recently as 2017, he was photographed with Gerry Adams and erstwhile IRA fugitive Rita O'Hare. As vice president in 2015, Biden quipped that no one wearing orange, the color of British Unionists in Northern Ireland, would be welcome in the White House, while meeting the then Irish Taoiseach Enda Kenny, sparking outrage. No wonder he has had little success in coaxing the Unionists back into Northern Ireland power sharing. It is not hard to see why a U.S. president with this track record would thumb his nose at the new king either. For Biden, the British monarchy is not something to be celebrated or revered. In his eyes, it is an anachronism, an outdated remnant of the empire. His decision not to attend the coronation is not an issue of advancing age, difficulty of scheduling, or an unwillingness to spend time away from pressing domestic duties at home. It is a deliberate snub of the royal family.
Yeah, Biden's trying to make enemies. There's more to read if you want to read the rest of it in my description box. Biden trying to make enemies. Let's go to the next one. It's from Business Insider. The man who may have leaked top-secret Pentagon documents was a fit in armed military guy who controlled a group of young gamers united by their worship of guns and God. See what it says here.
The Washington Post traced the Pentagon papers leaked to a man named OG on Discord. He was the leader of a group of young gamers who loved guns, military gear, and God, per the outlet. OG said he worked on a military base and sent his gamer friends hundreds of secrets, per WaPo. Full screen. One of The Washington Post has traced the recent Pentagon intelligence leaked to a man who shared hundreds of secret files with a small group of young gamers on a private Discord server. The unnamed man, nicknamed OG by the other server members, said he worked on a military base and claimed to know high-level government secrets withheld from the public, two unnamed group members told the Post. Their invite-only server on Discord, a messaging and voice chat platform for gamers, had around 24 male members worldwide who shared a passion for guns, military gear, and God, the Post reported. As early as 2020, OG began sending the classified information to his Discord server, which was once named Thug Shaker Central, per the Post. OG, the server's administrator, expected the group's members to pay close attention to the flood of information he fed them, one of the two young Discord users told the Post. He's fit. He's strong. He's armed. He's trained. Just about everything you can expect out of some sort of crazy movie, the member said.
And there's more to read if you want to read the rest of this. We'll go to the next one now. This from Fox News. Anti-Christian hostility reaching unprecedented levels in culture. Government under Biden, observers warned. Let's see what it says here.
Religious nonprofits who spoke to Fox News Digital warned of increasing cultural and government hostility toward Catholics and other Christians under the Biden administration. Their warnings come amid skyrocketing rates of church vandalism, legislation targeting church sacraments, and the alleged weaponization of federal law enforcement against people of faith. Secular dogmas. I think it's just a rise in secularism in the United States, Ariel Del Turco, Assistant Director of the Center for Religious Liberty at the Family Research Council, FRC, told Fox News Digital. Del Turco is the primary author of Hostility Against Churches is on the Rise in the United States, the FRC's report documenting the increasing rate of church vandalism in the U.S. during recent years. In an update published this month, the report noted that 2023 is already on track to log the highest number of church vandalism incidents within the 6 years FRC has been tracking them. According to the report, 69 acts of hostility against churches in 29 states have already occurred during the first quarter of the year, including 53 acts of vandalism, 10 arson attacks or attempts, 3 gun-related incidents, 3 bomb threats and 2 other incidents such as assault. The statistics represent approximately 3 times the number of hostile acts that FRC recorded in the same time frame last year. As secularism increases, people just understand religion less, and, they have less of the respect for religion that they might have had decades ago, said Del Turco of what might drive someone to vandalize a church. She also pinpointed a conflict between Christianity and secular dogmas rooted in the sexual revolution, such as abortion, same-sex marriage and other LGBT issues. All of these are increasingly in conflict with core Christian teachings and core Christian beliefs. So, the left is getting increasingly intolerant of Christianity for this reason, and I think we're seeing that even being represented physically with these physical attacks on churches. Noting that while churches across multiple denominations of Christianity have been attacked, Del Turco said Roman Catholic churches especially tend to be the primary targets.
And there's more to read on that if you want to read it. I think a lot of people getting fed up with the churches because the advantages, the television preachers ripping people off. Anyway, let's go to the next one here. It's from El Paris, USA. Marine Le Pen, if Russia wins the war, it will be catastrophic. I can't say that. If Ukraine wins, it will mean World War III has been unleashed. Let's see what it says here.
If I were president. Marine Le Pen begins. Then she immediately corrects herself, when I am president. Unrest in France over the government's pension reform has reinforced the chances of an election victory for the leader of the National Rally, RN, heir to the far-right party founded half a century ago by her father, Jean-Marie Le Pen. If Marine Le Pen were to face the incumbent Emmanuel Macron in a presidential runoff vote today, she would win with 55% of the ballots compared to 45% for the current president, according to a poll by the Alabe Institute. At the last presidential election, in 2022, Macron prevailed with 58% support compared to 42% for Le Pen. Since last June, the RN has been the leading opposition group in the National Assembly, with 89 lawmakers who always wear ties the men, at least, and who make a point of trying to avoid stridency, if not always successfully. We are reaping what we have sown, said Le Pen, 54, in an interview held on Tuesday with several European correspondents from the Lena Media Alliance, including ELPAS. The gathering took place at a cafe near the National Assembly. During the presidential campaign, we planted an extremely serious, detailed project in which we anticipated problems that a year later turned out to be true. Based on this credit, and at the same time thanks to our respect for the functioning of the institutions, we have increasingly managed to earn the trust of the French people.
Okay, you want to read the rest of this? It'll be in my description box. The president, Macron over there in France, he's not going to get reelected. They're protesting over there, rioting, because he wants to raise the retirement age. Let's go to the next one here. Ukrainska Pravda. Head cut off with knife. Russian media report that video shows Wagner Group of mercenaries.
The Wagner Group private military company, PMC, was involved in the murder of a Ukrainian prisoner of war, whose head was cut off while he was still alive, said Vladimir Osechkin, founder of the Russian human rights organization Gulagu.net. Source: Russian news agency Meduza. Osechkin on the YouTube channel Khodorkovsky Live. Quote from Osechkin: We contacted Andrei Medvedev, the former commander of the 1st Squad of the 4th Platoon of the 7th Assault Squad of the Wagner PMC, who is currently in a deportation prison in Sweden. In Sweden, the detainees have access to mobile phones and computers. We sent him this video. He watched it several times. And he definitely recognizes his colleagues, Wagner's PMC fighters, by their distinctive aliases, the way they speak, what they say on the radio, and other things. Details. He also announced a reward of €3,000 for any information about the people in the video to identify the killer and the person filming the execution. The sum is also planned to be increased with the help of donations to identify the killers and bring them to justice.
Let's watch this video here. Maybe not. Anyway, if you want to read the rest of it, the link will be. Okay, this is from Radar Online. Vladimir Putin sends warning to Joe Biden, launches new ballistic missiles during U.S. President's Ireland visit.
Vladimir Putin sent a warning to Joe Biden through the launch of new ballistic missiles during the U.S. president's visit to Ireland, RadarOnline.com has learned. Putin successfully launched the new intercontinental missile on Tuesday evening to commemorate the 62nd anniversary of cosmonaut Yuri Gagarin being sent into space. While Russia flexed its latest ballistic missiles, Biden visited his ancestors' homeland. Putin's new missiles were launched from the Kapustranyer testing site in Astrakhan and successfully hit its target, the Sary-Shagan range in the neighboring country, and Russian ally, Kazakhstan. The Russian Defense Ministry released a statement on the launch while praising the Kremlin's military efforts as Putin's war in Ukraine charged past its one-year mark with no end in sight.
Okay, that's all on that there. I don't see any more to read there. Let's go on to the next one now. This is from CNN. That's hard to say. Leaked U.S. military document reveals Russia's Wagner mercenary group tried to buy weapons from NATO members.
A Russian paramilitary group fighting in Ukraine on behalf of Vladimir Putin attempted to buy weapons and equipment from an unlikely source, NATO member Turkey, according to a leaked U.S. intelligence document that was obtained by CNN. The leaked document appears to show the lengths the Russian private military group Wagner has gone to try to further strengthen its capabilities as the war in Ukraine, in which it is playing a key role, continues on with no signs of abating. As a NATO member, Turkey is broadly considered a partner nation to the U.S. and other countries providing direct military support to Ukraine, and it has publicly expressed opposition to Russia's invasion. It is also home to a major U.S. military base where nuclear weapons are stored and act as an obvious warning sign to deter Russian aggression against NATO members. According to the U.S. signals intelligence reporting cited in the document, personnel from the Wagner Group met with Turkish contacts in early February with the intent to purchase weapons and equipment from Turkey that could then be used by Wagner mercenaries who are fighting alongside Russian forces in Ukraine. It is unclear who those contacts were or if the Turkish government was aware of the meetings. There is no evidence that shows that Turkey has moved forward with any arms sales to the Wagner Group. Still, the potential of a NATO ally selling weapons to Russian mercenary forces would likely raise serious concerns in Washington and complicate Ankara's relationship with other NATO members. The details about the February meeting, which were outlined in a section of the leaked document titled, Mali, Russia, Turkey, Wagner seeks weapons from Ankara, suggest U.S. officials believe the Russian mercenary outfit has at least tested the waters. According to the leaked document, Wagner also planned to use the weapons and equipment from Turkey in Mali, where the group maintains a significant presence. Not only does the document reference intelligence about Wagner seeking to purchase weapons from Turkey, it also states that the paramilitary group planned to resume recruitment of prisoners from Russia's jails.
Okay, there's more to read. If you want to read the rest of that in my description box there. It says here Turkey's unique relationship with Russia. Okay, let's go to the next one. This one here is from DC News Now. Why are people from California moving to West Virginia? I heard they were moving to Texas before. Now they're moving to West Virginia, huh? Let's see what it says.
Clarksburg, West Virginia, WBOY. Have you seen more license plates from states like California, or its neighbor to the north, Oregon, on West Virginia's country roads lately? It turns out, even from the other side of the country, Californians have noticed it too. An Orange County, California daily newspaper, the Orange County Register, published an op-ed Tuesday called "Don't Look Now, but Californians are West Virginia Dreamin'." The term references the 1965 The Mamas and the Papas hit, but the article comes on strong, saying that in 2023, the California dream is on life support. U.S. Census data estimates that California's population decreased by an estimated 508,903 residents between April 2020 and July 2022, second only to New York, which lost slightly more during the same period, an estimated 524,079. 2 million people fled America's big cities from 2020 to 2022. But why? But with 49 other states to choose from, why West Virginia? The state was actually the 13th most popular moving destination for those who used United Van Lines in 2022. The article's author, Brad Lips, who is CEO of Atlas Network, which is a partner of Cardinal Institute for West Virginia Policy, has some ideas. Onomic opportunity, it ranked 8th in affordability and opportunity. Lips cites that West Virginia is one of the country's most affordable states. Forbes Home lists West Virginia as the 9th cheapest state to live in 2023, and one of the most affordable places to buy a home, with the average single-family home costing $117,639, or 21.4% below the national average. Other pros included that West Virginia gets all 4 seasons, and of course, its beautiful Appalachian landscape. But what about opportunity? While that Forbes study lists a challenging job market and high poverty rates as cons to moving to West Virginia, U.S. News and World Report still ranked the state as number 18 in opportunity. While West Virginia ranked 47th in economic opportunity, it ranked 8th in affordability and 4th in equality. West Virginia performed higher in that ranking than popular moving destinations like Texas and Florida. Policy. Lips points to Republican Governor Jim Justice's high approval rating to suggest that West Virginians support recent policies like tax cuts and school choice.
Okay, I'm going to stop it right there. You can read the rest. That's not much more to read, but I'm time running out. And you're going to read the rest of my description box and go into the next one here. This one here is from Fox News. Farmers score victory over Biden administration as judge pauses eco-ruse.
A federal judge granted a request Wednesday from a coalition of 24 states and several industry groups to block environmental regulations redefining how water sources are protected. Judge Daniel Hovland of the U.S. District Court for the District of North Dakota ruled that the so-called Waters of the United States, WATUS, rule announced by the Environmental Protection Agency, EPA, in late December poses great risks to states. The judge also ruled that the federal government should wait until the Supreme Court soon rules on a related case pending before it. A balancing of the harms and an analysis of the public interest supports a finding that the risk of harms to the states is great, Hovland wrote. There is little public interest or any efficiency gained by implementing a new rule which codifies the significant nexus test before the United States Supreme Court issues a decision in Sackett. Common sense dictates that it only makes sense to wait, he continued in his decision. There is no urgency to implement the 2023 rule. The Supreme Court's decision in Sackett will be A federal judge granted a request when
Stop it right there, and you can read the rest of that in my description box. Let me go to the next one here. This from Radar Online. White House reporters revolt after Karine Jean-Pierre, whatever her name is, announces Biden will not hold press conference during Ireland trip.
reporters lashed out at White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre after she confirmed President Joe Biden will not hold a press conference during his 4-day trip to Ireland, RadarOnline.com has learned. The shocking revolt took place on Monday shortly after White House National Security spokesman John Kirby indicated it was unlikely President Biden would hold a press conference while overseas this week. "I don't expect there'll be a news conference on this trip," Kirby said during Monday's press briefing. Immediately after Jean-Pierre returned to the podium, she was ambushed by a barrage of questions regarding President Biden and his apparent disregard for providing the media and the American people with formal press conferences. "I represent a news organization that owns 113 television stations," charged Gray TV reporter John Decker. "And a question that I'm often asked, and I don't know the answer to, so I'll ask you that question: is the administration trying to protect the president from our questions?" "Absolutely not. Absolutely not," Jean-Pierre responded. "Then why the lack of any interaction in a formal setting to have a press conference?" Decker pressed further. "The president many times has stood in front of all of you, has taken questions on his own, because he wanted to see what was on your minds. He wanted to see what the questions you all were going to ask him, and he wanted to answer them directly," Jean-Pierre responded further.
And you can read the rest of that in my description box if you like. And let me see. Oh, that was my last one too. Well, I hope I gave you some information you can use, and hope you enjoy my news. Don't forget to like, subscribe, or at least come back once in a while. And I thank you for watching. Till next time.